have my fingers crossed for a 4, frankly. The last things I've been on, you have tanked them every time.
Family Ties is a show about a family, only one of whom actually wears a tie.
Ooh, good.
Just thought
Family Ties is a show about a generational divide.
Family Ties is the Sha-na-na-na show. Don't forget this time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sha-na-na-na. Welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. We're givers here.
Still can.
Special guest co-host Dr. Muhammad Noor is here.
Hello. Always a pleasure to be on Fallingtower's Watch the First of Things.
Man alive. We also have actress, superstar, Bridget Fitzgerald.
Yes, I am a superstar. Me and Mario, both of us. Yep.
And influencer, by the way. Hey, that was good.
Influencer. Bling.
All right.
Yeah, I work on my sound effects all the time.
Everybody at home, you may have guessed or gathered or gleaned that we are reviewing Family Ties because it is 80s sitcom month. So if you'd like us to review an 80s sitcom this month, in the comments below, just type in WTF, which stands for Watch the First, and that 80s sitcom. You could say WTF Three's Company, but that started in the 70s, so it won't work. But you also have to tell us where we can find it. So for example, if you said WTF Family Ties, you would also say Paramount Plus. Make it easy.
Yeah,
I'm wearing a Paramount Plus shirt right now, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Coincidence?
Hey. Yes. My guess is yes.
Actually, yeah. This was good planning.
Always planned.
This is the first episode entitled Pilot. And this came out in September 22nd, 1982.
Wow. You were young. I wasn't quite so young, but I was young too.
Shout out to Bill the Thrill Hutchins. I believe that's his birthday, September 22nd. All right.
Yay.
Muhammad, please, everybody, give us a like. Be sure to subscribe. Get your pen and paper down for when we tell you about good old Bridget stuff to follow. And give us a 5-star rating. Give us reviews. Whatever you do that, please. Thanks very much. Muhammad, where do we go from here after I do all the begging?
I think we need to predict what each other think. So I think we're in a predicament.
I predict you are thinking, what's another clever way to say predicament?
Not so clever, but I was trying to think of something else to say.
It's tough to come up with new stuff, right? That's why I don't. Go easy on yourselves, everybody. So, Muhammad and I have known each other for a few years. Bridget and I have known each other for a solid few as well, maybe 4 or 5-ish, maybe 6. I don't know.
I met Ryan at Disneyland. Not everyone can say they met someone cool at Disneyland, but I did.
Everybody that's been to Disneyland, though, has met somebody cool there because they saw Mickey and Minnie. And Mickey was like, hey, everybody. But that was like, 5 or 6 years ago? I don't know.
That's a very good Mickey. I feel like you should list that under special skills. There you go. Right? It was your doctorate in goofing? Way to go,
Kinda.
Mo.
If I could stick to one thing for that long to get a doctorate in anything. Anyway, we got to move on.
Mo was making that sound. Making a goofy sound, or was that Ryan? Now I've been completely thrown.
That was me. Sorry. Muhammad does the good Big Bird impressions.
Oh, good.
I don't even remember what Big Bird sounded like. I watched it, but I don't remember now.
That's fair. Sorry. That's why I was like, wow, good goofy. Chef's kiss.
That was Ryan.
Fair enough. All right. I digress.
So,
Let's go.
No, this is good stuff. If you want to talk about Disney, I am all for it. And Paramount Plus is like, you better not on our time, guys. If you're talking about a Paramount Plus show, a CBS show, you better stick to CBS land or whatever they have in Tallahassee. I don't know. The point is, everybody, we can sometimes predict what the other person felt about this show. Now, it's going to be tough for Muhammad and Bridget because they haven't known each other for a while, but Muhammad has seen Bridget on this show quite a few times, so he's got a leg up.
I've talked to Muhammad, so I don't think we're not like psychic friends, because we could be. We could be.
Yes.
You don't know.
You are Smiley Bridget. I know you.
and you are Muhammad. No, I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Bring it.
All right. All right. Well, then we're primed and ready for this. Muhammad, I'm going to predict that you like this. It's a medium like. It's not a super like. It's a medium like. It's not a barely like. It's right in the middle there of the likes, like around the 7s to 7.5s. That kind of like. Bridget, I think you liked this less. I think you felt a little critical. I think you felt a little like, don't like that, don't like that, don't like that. So I think you're going to give it maybe something in the range of a 4 or 5. That's what I'm feeling from you. What about you, Muhammad? Any predictions on your end?
So Ryan, I think this is a tough one. I think you're going to think it wasn't all that funny, but that it had a decent story. So I think in that sense, you're being a little bit torn because, so I don't know. I guess if I had to pick a score for you, I'd say maybe around a 6. Bridget, I'm actually going to be more optimistic than Ryan was. I don't think you disliked it that much, but I think you were going to feel like, wow, that was definitely another time. And that's going to be your reaction to it. But I think you'd still appreciate for what it is. So you might end up a little bit higher, maybe a little bit higher than a 6. I mean, I don't think you're going to come back like, I loved it, but I think you're going to a little bit above that. So that's my opinion.
All right, Bridget, show us your skills.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm going to read you like a magazine, Ryan.
Man.
First off, Fortune says that Ryan probably did not like this. I have yet to be on a show where you really loved anything. I'm going to say it right now. I have yet to be on one where
that's
Ryan
why you
was like,
said
this was the best thing I've ever seen. Like, I've been on the show multiple times, and I'm guessing that we're going to be in another 5 or less category here. Even though, well, no, I'm not going to say anything else. My lips are sealed until after the predicaments are done, as always. But
Bridget, I just want to throw in that you wanted to read me like a magazine because you believe that I have issues. Am I right?
It's true. It's true. Thank you. Thank you for putting it all together. Nicely done. Nicely done. Always. You have multiple issues, many times a year. So, Ryan, my guess on you is, again, probably a little below middling. I'm going to say like a 4. I'm going to have my fingers crossed for a 4, frankly. The last things I've been on, you have tanked them every time. And I'm not going to, I feel like I'm the Paula Abdul of our trio. Like, I'm always like, oh, that was fine. Oh, that was fine. Oh, I'd watch that. Oh, I'd like that. But you always are like, no, I'm sorry. Try again. It's like one of those ballet dance instructors who has a cigarette in and it's like, no, let's do it one more time. Like, that's what I think when you see TV.
Flicks the ash on them.
Yes, exactly. Ladies, I don't see any plies. Like, that's who you are, I think, on the show. Mo.
Good luck, Muhammad.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm scared now.
Well, here's the thing: is I think you're actually gonna give this one higher than Ryan because everyone will. So I'm gonna say
not a high bar there.
Not a high bar. I'm gonna say it's gonna be above that average. I'm gonna say 7. I think you give it a solid 7. All right, so we've got 7 and 4 are my predictions here.
Okay.
All right. So everybody at home, it's time to make your predictions. We've been pretty wild. Well, actually, I think our lowest was 4. Our highest was right around 7. We're kind of...
Yeah.
It's me. I'm either end of this spectrum.
Yeah. So make your predictions, everybody. Do you think I loved it? Do you think I hated it? What about
We're gonna
Bridget?
get thrown off when Ryan gives it a 9.7.
Yeah. Do you think
I'm gonna
Bridget's
lose
like
it.
mad?
I'm gonna throw my furniture around.
Bridget's giving you hints that she's ready to fight for this, like Paula. I'm gonna fight for this one. It's a no from me. And
Yes,
Muhammad's
see,
going to be
you have
like,
the
"No,
voice
it's
ready.
good, dog. It's good."
Yeah, exactly. See, we are ready. We are ready for this.
So
I
make your
have the
predictions,
gift.
everybody. Do you think we're going to be like, what is that, American Idol or like The Voice or whatever? Make your guesses now. Muhammad's going to buy you plenty of time. Take your time, think it through, pick up your number 2 pencils and begin now while Muhammad tells us all what this show's even about. Yes, Bridget?
And also feel free to put in WTF, American Idol, or The Voice, because he's clearly not watched either. So if you want to take this time to do that as well, go on ahead. The chats are
America's Got Talent.
America's Got Talent.
There you go. Perfect. All right, Muhammad.
Sure thing. All right. So for this show, conservative 17-year-old Alex P. Keaton has ex-hippie parents and 2 sisters who torture him. In this episode, Alex is excited to finally get to date rich, beautiful, but very shallow Kimberly Blanton. After an awkward family dinner, Alex is invited to go with Kimberly's family to a restricted club, much to the chagrin of his parents.
I'm just glad today marks the first day that the word chagrin has ever been mentioned on our show. So we can add that to the Fallingtower vocabulary.
Boom. Yep. Add it to a spreadsheet somewhere. Fallingtower episode.
We've done
what
our
episode
duty.
Is this?
Yeah, you missed right before you came on, Bridget. I'd lost the file that had it, so I actually just retyped that right before we got on.
Oh, man,
that's why I had to typo
have chagrin in it?
Well, I mean, I just typed that whole thing just like a few minutes ago. So.
Wow. I'm amazed. I don't
know if chagrin was in there before or not. I don't remember.
Now it's locked in forever. Now we're taping it, so now it's locked in there.
Bridget says taping. Yeah. This is episode 137, Bridget, to answer that excellent question.
Yay!
So, up next, this is Muhammad's favorite game. That previous one was my favorite game. Muhammad and I have it's like a wrestling contest about it, but it's like in baby oil, so it's more like a slithering contest. Anyway, what are we doing next, Muhammad?
Well, now is when we compare what we expected from what we got. And it's a section I like to call Expectations.
Wow.
Always comes with the punch, too.
Yes, with the punch. You got to get the punch.
Of the Hawaiian variety.
Yeah, because again, we expect we don't spend much time on, but the kitchen we spend a lot of time on.
So let's do it. Muhammad, before you watch this first episode of Family Ties entitled Checks Notes Pilot, what did you expect, if anything?
Oh, I watched the heck out of this show back in the 80s. I watched this show so much. I mean, so I knew all the details of the family. I even remember the kid who isn't there yet, and Ellen, who was Alex's love, who leaves. I mean, I remember so much about the show. Now, in terms of the pilot episode specifically, I didn't remember how the whole thing started. I didn't remember if, as you like to call it, Ryan, I didn't remember if it was a 3rd episode pilot where you're just in there, or if there's some sort of introductory thing where you get to, start learning about how the dad works at the PBS station and those things. So, but yeah, I remember a lot about this show going in. So it was, but even though I haven't seen it since the 80s, it was still very memorable for me.
Wow. Bridget, what did you expect before viewing this first episode, if anything?
I'm not gonna lie, okay?
Oh,
I honestly, no, it's truth time with Bridge. I maybe thought this was Facts of Life, which is another show, but it's not this show. But I couldn't remember what that one was about either, so I couldn't remember what this was about. I remember that it was this month's category, an 80s sitcom. So within that time frame and the name of the show being Family Ties, I was like, well, we're probably going to see family. Right. And we're probably going to see some hijinks. There's probably going to be a cute little child that's there for no reason. I feel like Cosby Show had one, Full of House had one. Like every little sitcom has a cute little kid that's just there just to be cute and then say something cute and then wander away. And then at the end of the episode, I expected to have a family moment where the music comes in and you have a family moment. So that's what I was expecting based on this.
I love the music to Facts of Life. Oh man, that intro song was great.
Everybody knows that song. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize that it was
bad, take the broken.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Like that was a
WTF
good
Facts
one,
of
too.
Life.
Facts
I think
of
I
Life?
actually tried to find it. I don't think it's online.
It's gotta be.
Or it didn't fit. Yeah.
If you
I could
guys
be
can
wrong.
find Facts of Life online, let us know where we can stream it and type WTF Facts of Life. Tell us where, and we will watch it. Maybe.
It is on repeats. I saw an
Oh,
episode
is it?
randomly on like a TV when I was like traveling, and it was on in the hotel while I was flipping through, and I was like,
Oh, okay.
"How? What's happening here?" So maybe it's on Nick at Night or something like that.
Mhm.
But anyway,
Okay.
it's out in the boot.
Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't look very hard, so maybe I just missed it.
It's out in Italy.
Well,
That's the boot. All right.
Ah.
So thank you. Sorry about that.
slow burn.
I mean, a
slow
boot,
burn.
yeah.
That one was like a dynamite slow burn.
Yeah. No, more like a firecracker. It's just like it's a fizzler. Okay, so I'll tell you what I expected before I watched this first episode. My first thought was, I think I know the theme song. Is that the theme song that goes, and I, sang it in my head. So I did remember the theme song. I don't remember if I'd actually watched this show as a little stinker, or if I was just aware that it was on through its 7-year run, right? Muhammad, you said it was 7 years.
Yeah.
So, and I knew that I thought I was certain that Michael J. Fox was in it. I was like, I think that's Michael J. Fox, and I kind of remembered that it was a family. I'm like, it's kind of like Growing Pains. I watched Growing Pains when I was a kid. But I didn't know if I'd seen any of it really, or if I was just aware that it was on, or maybe since I knew the theme song, maybe when the theme song would come on, I'd be like, time to change the channel. This show sucks. I don't, so that's where I was on it. Unsure, uncertain. That's what we expected. Muhammad, what did you actually get?
So it was interesting. I did enjoy it overall. I'd say, I think your description, actually, your prediction, Ryan, was pretty spot on for how much I enjoyed it. Where I liked it, I wouldn't go so far as to say I loved it, but it wasn't just a lukewarm like. But part of that may have been also the fact that I had seen the show so much, and it was great to kind of reconnect with the old friends, like, oh, Jennifer, oh, Mallory. So there may have been a little bit of that to it too. I liked the premise, even though I knew the premise already. I liked the premise of this difference in terms of Alex being this, Reagan era Republican, and the parents being these hippies. And I remember that being a constant tension through the whole series. The interactions between Alex and Mallory and Jennifer, I found mildly entertaining. This is something actually was interesting as the show was going. I started to remember, oh yeah, this is one of those comedies that was much less slapstick, but it was almost kind of this borderline between drama and comedy. Like in general, like there would be some episodes that were like pretty darn sad. Like I remember that very distinctly. Like especially when Ellen leaves. Oh, I still remember those. Like it still like hurts when I think back to some of those episodes. And this one was a little bit like that. It definitely had a serious undertone, especially when we started hearing about this I guess now what we call like a racist club kind of thing. But there was a very serious undertone, and the humor kind of went away at the end. It kind of just switched over to the serious part. But I remember that being kind of true. But I'm okay with that. Like as long as you're not expecting slapstick all the time, which I wasn't expecting slapsticks all the time. But it was okay. I don't want to hog time, so let me let you guys talk, and we can get more depth about some of the specifics.
Interesting. So medium-like from Muhammad.
Medium-like, yeah. You were spot on with your prediction.
With a lot of thoughts to add to that we're going to dive into so hard. Bridget, what did you actually get upon viewing this first episode?
Are we telling our ratings on this one? Are we just going to all hold guard? What is happening here?
Your overall feeling.
Overall feeling. Okay. From what I expected, like, as you know, I didn't even realize which show this was. I was like, oh, this is the Sha-Na-Na-Na show. Great. And I remember vaguely that Michael J. Fox, who I'm a big fan of, had a big show where he was a main character who was a straight-laced kid in it. So I was like, oh, this must be that show. So I was like, okay, great. This is that show. when I definitely totally called Jennifer. I called this little munchkin early on because like there's always one in these family shows. There's one cute little kid that just comes in, delivers her line, and leaves. And I also thought that Jennifer, like, she looked like she was gonna break laughing on one of the lines that she came in and delivered when she's yelling, like her Michael J. Fox is yelling at her character to get off the phone, and she's just like.
Let's definitely talk about that more later, because I noticed that as well.
Yes. Okay, well, I expected like family comedy. I got family comedy. I got a very stellar. I could see why Michael J. Fox, this was a career builder for him, because he is the standout of this. I can see why he's in my eyes, the main character of the show. And we have random sister whose only personality I think is to be teen girl, and then like the little kid whose only personality is to be, like all they have to be is funny siblings that complement this guy and make him be more interesting. I definitely was not expecting that racist twist at the end. I was like, wait, hold on, what now? Like, I'm Hispanic, so I could not get into that club either. So I was just like, wait a second. When the dad says,
let me
like,
in.
it wouldn't let me in. Like at the time it aired, my mother couldn't get in this. Like, you know what I mean? At the time it aired. So like I'm just like, like you can say it's of the era, or you can hold it to it accountable, which is like, that's not okay. That's not a potato patata issue. That's not we'll have to agree to disagree and go our different ways. That's definitely wrong. And the dad was definitely right. So I feel like it is hard because you have to see things in the time that they are, the time they were written and the society that they were created in, like whatever kind of art this is, whether it's like a book that was written in a certain time period, a painting that was in a certain time period, a show that was in a certain time period. But it's really hard to watch it right now, knowing how incredibly wrong and racist that club is, and how they kind of are like, well, I love you, and I'm sorry I was wrong, says the father. I'm like, you were not. You were not wrong. You were absolutely correct, and you shouldn't have gone to that club and should have left that dodo brain. Well, anyway, that's more than enough of my thoughts, but I've got more if you want them. I've got more.
Woo! I bet you do.
That was great.
Well, I'm going to feel terrible because I actually thought this was a good show. Like, I totally agree with what you're saying in that regard, of course.
Yeah.
However, I found myself laughing a lot more than I thought I would.
Oh.
I mean, I didn't think, I was totally expecting, here we go, another 80s crap fest. It's not going to be funny. That I'm going to watch.
What have you watched so far that this is the standard now, is 80s crap?
Well, just anytime you watch something, like when we watch like an old cartoon.
I see.
That I used to think was cool when I was a kid, or an old TV show that I thought was cool when I was a kid. Like we did Married with Children, for example. And anyway, needless to say, it's not what you remember it.
It's not what you remember.
Yeah.
But this, I don't know if I did actually watch this show, because I do remember, Michael J. Fox, and I expected to not laugh at all. But I did laugh quite a few times, and I found the parents to be, now you're focusing mostly on the end. I'm focusing more on the beginning, because the end, didn't really have a lot of laughs, and it left a lot of questions, and it made me think, how far have we gone in 40 years? But we could talk about that a bit more. But
have we?
Mainly, I was surprised at how much I was laughing, which was not a ton, but more than I expected. I was surprised at how much I liked the parents. They were very charming. I thought it was cute that they were so in love and such hippies. I thought it was a very smart premise of like, there's these hippie parents, because I feel like there's usually kind of like the reverse, where it's like the overbearing parents and the hippie kid. And this was kind of like the flip flop, which makes
Archie
it kind
Bunker
of
model.
Interesting, quirky, different. I don't like little kids. I don't like little bratty, I'm going to say something. But for some reason, I love this little shit. She was great.
She had great line delivery.
It was cracking me up. I thought she was great. I did not expect to think she was great at all. And she was. And so I ended up thinking everybody was great, except, yeah, you're right. Mallory, I think she was like shredded wheat. We didn't really get much of her
Random
personality.
teen girl. We don't know anything about her. She's just funny.
Yeah.
She's funny, random extra person.
So overall, I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. The end was not not as good as I was expecting, but the premise was great. I thought the casting was great. The people were charming. The jokes were funny. Like, that's what you want in a sitcom.
Yeah.
That was
Or
great.
I agree with you. And I think the writing was really exceptional.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the reason why it was on for 7 years, was because it was very funny and the acting is very good. I'm not I don't want to make it seem like I didn't appreciate that, because I definitely did, but that definitely took me out of it in the third act, when it was like, oh, this thing. But definitely there were great line readings and a lot of, like, honestly, sight gags between the characters and how they were looking at each other that made it work. And that's what makes a great three camera sitcom work, is like, because it is, taped in front of a live audience. It is about those relationships and those people interacting with each other.
Can we talk specifically about that look that you mentioned earlier, which was when the little girl, what's her name, Jennifer, I think, when Alex Keaton's trying to yell at her and she fully loses it, like Saturday Night Live style, right? We love watching professionals lose it. Like, directors hate it, but the audience loves it. And I went back and watched it 3 times. She was like doing face contortions to try to hide this.
She was trying so hard.
Even like looked away and looked at the parents.
He looked away because he was like, I can't.
This was brilliant. That was probably my favorite moment of the show.
Yeah, awesome. It was definitely great. And also, can we do a minor shout out to Michael J. Fox? He was excellent in this show. And I also think that he's such a nice dude, that some of these line readings, like, they were supposed to be harder. Like, you could tell from the lines themselves that they were supposed to be harder. Like, oh, I'll tell you how to use the fork or whatever. But he just says it, oh, I'll tell you how to use the fork. Like, because he's just a nice person. Like, he can't even sound threatening, which is how so charismatic. And then later, when he's supposed to be sitting across from her at the dinner table and being like, I'm going to stab you, he doesn't even do it. He's just like, stop it.
Right.
Like,
it doesn't actually seem
I'm
menacing,
stab
right?
you. It's like, just stop. Like, and I'm like, that is because he's such a genuine, likable person. And that's the secret sauce for a long running sitcom, is to make your main character likable. Even if he's not, like, I don't know, this kind of like, super, super conservative guy who has like this poster over his bed of another, like, he's like asking him if he can take a phone call at the table for an economist or something. Like, he's like that's who Alex P. Keaton is. But to make him that likable, that's why people keep coming in, and then again and again and again every week.
So I love something you said earlier, Bridget, this idea about the standard family comedy having the young kid, because you're right, every comedy had that. And like you use Cosby Show as an example, They also, once that kid ages up a little bit, they're like, we're going to insert a new young kid.
Totally.
Yeah. We got to keep them fresh. Got to keep them popping.
That was great. And I agree with you too about the end scene there. I mean, that was the piece that bugged me. That was like, that was entirely acceptable that the dad like went over there and actually, I'm surprised the dad even let him go.
Yeah. I was just like,
but again, it's an era difference.
Well, they explained that he thought that the kid would learn his lesson. It's like, let the kid go, let the kid learn. I get that, but yeah, I agree. What I did not get was when he does cause that scene.
Yeah.
And again, it's understandable if he's embarrassed or doesn't exactly like the way how he did it or whatever. But at the end, when he comes back, for him to be apologizing that strongly, I'm like, first of all, you're the dad, you know better, generally.
Exactly.
Speaking. But secondly,
as a dad, like I would actually
are
period.
Right here. You actually are. You don't need to, especially because if he wants to apologize and say, hey, I'm sorry the way I acted. However, here's the lesson of the day. Okay, I would have been okay with that.
The lesson of the day. Yeah,
but he said, I apologize. And then Alex says, well, that's not enough. And then he apologized more. I'm like, That's
And it was almost like the dad felt at the end he should have just let him stay there. Like, what? No, that was not the right answer.
Yeah, I mean, this dad's a pushover. I'm gonna say it. He's an aging hippie, though. Shouldn't he be a pushover? Maybe.
I guess that's true. Good point. Yeah.
They were adorable though, those parents. And
They're so cute.
I don't know if Alex was the main character. I felt like the parents, but he probably did come out. It does seem like he was going to be the breakout star of that show, and he certainly is the most famous of them. But it gave the parents just as much time. And normally I'm not too thrilled with seeing people, old parents, oh, look, they're kissy face and all that, but they delivered it well. A great line by, I think it was Mallory, when she walks in on them and she's like, don't you have any self-control? I mean, it's not even lunchtime.
Yeah,
and I don't know why that made me laugh so hard, but it did. It made me laugh out loud.
There were a surprising number of funny lines before that scene with going over to the restricted club. There was a surprising number. I was like, wow, I have a long list of them here. I'm like, dang.
Good.
Let's hear them.
Yeah, let's hear one.
You want me to?
Yeah,
let's
sure.
See. At the very beginning when they're looking through the 60s protest slides, which was a great way of kind of introducing their backstory even more than the pictures too. The comment, what were you protesting? Good grooming?
Yeah, they were zinging them.
Yeah, the mom is an architect with the couple that hate each other, and it's like I had to talk them out of putting in a moat. I thought that was funny.
Which was actually was a great running gag. Those story about like they can't. Yeah. She's like, you can't have the room farther apart. It still has to be on the property. By the way, that was very progressive 40 years ago. On the other side of that she's, some business architect lady that's building things and pulling out her paperwork stuff. I don't know what that stuff is.
The thing with Mallory too, where she says, I know what pawing is. I'm dating whatever the kid's name is. And then the dad's like, not anymore.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I really thought there were several moments when I laughed out loud. And that's
same.
The case. Even with modern shows, it was very good writing. I enjoyed that. The jokes were great. One of my favorites from that running C plot of the house and her renovations or whatever was the end of it where she's like, "There's one thing I don't understand. They have 8 kids."
Yes, another solid joke.
I was like, that's so good.
Would have taken it one step further and said, how could they have so many kids? But they trust the audience to get it. Yeah. And it was funny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Did you have more, Muhammad? I saw you holding up the list.
I mean, we can keep going. I have a long list.
Yeah, let's hear them all.
Yes. Welcome, coming up to the stage at Open Mic Night, it's Muhammad.
I mean, no credit to me. I'm just reading the ones that were there. The comment, how do I look? Middle-aged.
Solid. I got that too.
Solid.
I haven't seen him this excited since Reagan was elected. I like, what's her name? Kimberly Blanton. When she got that question about what are you studying? Oh, It's like, oh my God.
And then when the sister said, mom says what was it you're studying again? And she's like, she's like, remember?
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was a great one. Yeah.
2 thumbs up to Mallory for that one. Yeah. That was great. Let's see. Actually, that's actually what I had written down. I said that from Mallory specifically. How Alex, when right as Kimberly arrived, Alex went and posed Jennifer's arm, so she had it on her hip. I thought that was funny.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. He positions her there were some sight gags in here where he while all the family's assembling, he takes his little sister and goes and this, and gets it was great.
And near the end, when the dad was talking to Jennifer and saying, "I had a little attack," or he said, "I had a little attack." She said, "A little attack, where you say things you don't want to say." I get those a lot.
Very good as well. I wrote that down, and good delivery.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was so surprised by this show. For me, at first when they were showing the slides, whatever those things are, and I was like, oh, they're doing old timey Instagram. So that was kind of. Which, by the way, I'm still baffled that back in the day when people would make you look at their slideshow, we were like, oh God, I hate this. This sucks. And now that's what Instagram is. And we eat it up. What happened? How did we change so much as a society? I'll never know. I don't get it. First couple lines, I was like, ooh, the dialogue is super forced and fake. So I thought, that opening scene. But then the jokes started coming, when Dad said, you look middle-aged. When Alex looked at the parents funny and Jen makes her funny face with the, whatever. But that wasn't written. That was just them. Mom delivered a line very well, too. That's the thing is they didn't go with the instinct that I think a lot of people had in the 80s of really beaten a joke hard. They would just throw it out and trust that their audience was smart enough to get it. Like when she says, Alex is trying to clean up the house and make sure he's like, oh no, and he even said is that are you going to wear your hair like that to her mom? That was hilarious to his mom. And then he says something about cleaning up the place. And she says, well, when does she arrive? Maybe we have time to get the house painted. I don't know why. Clever, made me laugh. And her delivery was very just like she wasn't delivering a joke. Like she was just
she was very good.
Being snarky.
Give a shout out to Meredith Baxter Burney, because at this point she had already done another sitcom. Yeah.
What was it?
She was in Bridget Loves Bernie, which is a mismatch. I know that one because it has my name in it. It's where she plays a Bridget Fitzgerald, like me.
Oh, really? What?
She's an Irish Catholic girl, Bridget Fitzgerald, who marries a Jewish, I want to say he's a cab driver, maybe, Bernie, who lives in New York. And it's just them, and it's like from the 70s. But she had done several other things at this point, and she's like, that's why when she got to this, she's really good at those live readings. Yeah,
nailed it. I just got a couple more I want to throw out here. One was when he said the dad asked him about sailing and what's your favorite craft, and he says woodworking. That
was funny.
I thought that was
that's an 80s sitcom joke.
That's what I thought. I honestly misunderstood, and I was like,
at first I thought he said crab. I had to put on the closed captioning to find out that he said craft. And I was like, oh, now the joke works for me.
Yeah.
The other one was when dad, this one almost worked, was when dad was like, okay, I did date Sandra Letterman, a young Republican. She was a fascist, but she wore it well. I'm like, okay, that's funny.
That was okay.
That's funny.
I was surprised you worked for Nixon. I was like, dang, you worked for Nixon, then became a hippie? Whoa.
Wow.
Well, I think he was saying that he worked for Nixon for that girl, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm.
I think he was just there for a couple weeks. And then
even still, I'm still surprised he did it.
And then the other thing that I thought,
I guess that would have been the first presidential campaign. This is when Nixon was still vice president under Eisenhower and was running for president at that time.
Bridget and I are like, we don't know. But the other one was when Steve was like lecturing Alex at the country club. But while he's doing it, he's grabbing the wine, he's grabbing the snack. He's just kind of, that was a good sight gag, because he's still like, oh, this is good stuff, but I still mean what I'm saying.
And then liver.
The last thing that made me laugh was at the very end when the show's over, and you could hear the stage director by him or herself going for a few seconds before the audience joins. You just hear one lonely clap, like, and then everybody eventually joined. So that was not written, but it still made me laugh.
That's funny.
Yeah. That applause sign must not have lit up. So he's like,
I peeked online to see who some of the guests were in the show. It's interesting who they had over the years. Like Tom Hanks showed up at one point in the show, which I guess this is at the time when I guess he had just come off of Bosom Buddies. Will Wheaton was in an episode. So.
Have you guys watched Bosom Buddies?
No.
Somebody WTF Bosom Buddies.
Was it before 82, Muhammad?
Maybe it was after. Let me take a look. I don't remember now.
I
thought it was before, but I could be
the
wrong.
Billy Joel song.
Yes. Let me see.
Anyway, so while I was rattling off a million things, rudely just
1980 to 82.
Okay, so it was right. It was right after that.
Right before.
Bridget, were there other things that you liked about it? And then we can dive into a few more things that we hate. Or other moments that made you laugh?
Other moments that made me laugh, I don't know, just the different things where he was trying to impress the girl. I thought that was cute. like, are we going to take the boat around the world? I don't think so. That was very funny. Like all the
it's not looking
my grandmother,
good.
I mean, grandmare, like it's not looking good. Just the little touches that they did his lines to try and impress the girl. I thought those were very charming. So yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Were there other things that you guys did not like about it, or jokes that you thought did not land, or characters that you hate?
The one thing that bugged me, I mean, aside from the club saying that aside, the one thing that bugged me was like, it was never clear what Alex saw in Kimberly. I mean, aside she's pretty. I mean, she wasn't like overwhelmingly pretty, and it's kind of like, it was almost like he didn't even see the rest of the issues with her, and that to me just I found weird. Like, yeah, this person's kind of pretty, but like has no depth at all. And it's like he didn't even notice. Like after when the parents were there, he wasn't like, oh, but she's more than that. Like he didn't try to excuse it. It was like he didn't even see that there was a problem. Like,
that's really strange for a teenage boy. You're right. Go on.
I honestly, I was like, okay, he's 17. I give that. Like, yeah. Sure. Like
I still felt like he should have been able to see their perspective at least, that maybe they're not thrilled with this, but
that's true. It would have maybe helped if we as an audience got a moment where we saw what he saw for just a second. Like if she just says, something sweet at one point, or if she does something for him, or if she just stands up and she actually says, you know what, this place isn't for me, or anything like that, to where we could see, oh, that's what he sees. And, it would have just given a little bit more depth, Or just like, no argument from me.
Well, here's the thing is like, I literally gave him a pass on this. Like we've all had someone where we're just like, they're a handsome man in my case, or, you'd be like, oh, they're beautiful, like it doesn't, they're not perfect, but they're good to look at. Like I could give him that, like whatever his version of, she's pretty to look at. I'm like, okay, fine. I could see it.
But you said it perfectly. You said, they're not perfect, but it's like he didn't even see that. It's like he did think she was perfect.
You know what it was? Now that you mention it, it may have just been that she and her family were what he strives to be, right? He thinks, they're rich, they're exclusive, they go on these yachts. That's how so maybe that's what it was that they were
more than just her.
They were that Republican family or that conservative family that he thinks is that's the way to go. That's probably what it was.
That's a good point too.
Speaking of good points, boy, there's so much to talk about with this episode, but we're done talking about it because we have to talk about more important things, you guys. It's time to talk about Miss Bridget Fitzgerald of that sitcom called Bridget and Bernie or something.
No.
Is that what you said it was?
This lady is Bridget Loves Bernie. That's her. Meredith Baxter Bernie was in that one. This is Bridget Fitzgerald of Who You Know.
Well, Bridget, first of all, thanks so much for coming on and hanging with us again. You're always the freaking greatest. You've got a show called Christmas Lovers Anonymous. That just sounds great. Can you tell us about it?
I will tell you all about it. It is a Christmas movie. I know if you ever need something that's just straight up comedy, sweet, uplifting, this is a Christmas romance. It's a rom-com. And I play the third lead of this movie. So I'm the sister who's like, just go for it. You can do it. And this movie came out last year on Roku channel. So it's been streaming for a while. You can stream it for free online. If you just Google it, you'll see it and it can pop up on your screen. But now this Sunday, it is going to cable. So it's going to be there for people who don't want to do all that. They're just like, okay, well, I don't have Roku. I don't want to do the internet. You could just click and go to Great American Family. And that's the channel that has it on October 30th, Sunday. Which might be in the past if we're airing this later. I don't know when this airs, but Sunday, October 30th at 8:00, it's going to be on Great American Family. And I'd imagine that they do reruns on that channel because they are promising 24 hours of Christmas movies. So it's going to debut at the 8:00 block on Eastern, 5:00 Pacific. And then I'm sure they're going to churn it through. So if you go, check your local listings. And they do have a thing where you can text to a phone number, just the word Christmas, and you can find out where the Great American Family channel.
Text Christmas to 1-877-999-1225. That's Christmas, 877-999-1225. Please continue.
Man, you're good. I was like,
that was amazing.
I wish I had that number. I don't remember what it is, but yeah, that's their thing because right now they're running all that Christmas programming. So that's why if you text it, they'll tell you how to find it. So I don't know what it is in your local area, because for cable, it's always something different
Brilliant.
depending on where you are.
So in case somebody's watching a repeat of this much later, will it still be there after Christmas, or does it like go?
It should still be there,
Okay.
available, but also, again, it's always available on Roku channel.
Good point.
It debuted as a Roku original last year, and has been highly publicized. People keep showing me pictures of the Roku channel screen where it is in the top corner, like as one of the featured ones. So I'm
That's
hoping
awesome.
that more people discover it, because I love making people laugh. So I hope that people enjoy it. It's a sweet, heartfelt one about this sister who is obsessed with Christmas, and then she can't seem like she likes Christmas anymore. So she goes to a forum called Christmas Lovers Anonymous, and she meets a hot guy, and she gives all her tips to him. And things get a little crazy, and I'm like, go for it. So it's hijinks abound. So if you like a feel good movie, if you're up for a Christmas one, that's what it is. It's very fun, and I'm really grateful to the film's team. Lexi Giovagnoli, this is her directing debut. She's in a ton of rom-coms as an actor, and usually as a producer as well on these. But this is her first directing debut, and she did so well that now she's doing other Lifetime Christmas movies because she nailed it. And it was a pleasure working with her, a pleasure working with Brooke and Houston, who are the two other leads in this movie. We had a great time. I love to improvise. So after a take, they would let me improvise. And so some of those made the cuts. And when I say some of them, a lot of them made the cuts. So something makes you laugh out loud at the end of the scene.
Bridget.
There you go.
Everybody watching this is like, of course they pick the take where they're like, just do something funny. And you're like, now you're talking my language.
There you go. Done. You're going to keep rolling until you tell me cut. I'm like, all right, great. As long as that's cool with you. And she was just a joy. Lexi was a joy and a treasure to work with. The whole production team.
So speaking of keeping the camera rolling, can you tell us about Smiley Bridge TV?
Yes. I also want to give a quick shout out to Elizabeth, who is also the producer on there, and Lexi's mom. So quick shout out to you.
Nice.
Also great to work with. All right. Smiley Bridge TV was amazing. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. I don't know how much we know about this audience here at Watch the First, but I actually did do a pilot that I sold on Time Warner online. It was called Musi. It was sold online in 2014, and it was sold so that you could buy it online and watch it on your TV. It was sold through On Demand. And then after that, I moved to LA, and I wanted to do more upbeat comedy because I thought there was too much like gross stuff in the world that wasn't really funny. It was just like leaning too heavily on barf jokes and things that didn't really appeal to me and my sensibilities. And I was like, things can be clean and funny just as well as they can be dirty and funny. So that's why I was like, here's what I want to do. And I pitched it to this company called Ovation TV. And they said, we like this idea a lot, and we're going to put it into this contest with Rocket Hub. And the people who win the contest will win a $5,000 grant from Ovation and Rocket Hub. And so I was like, great. And so I shared it with all my friends and family, and I talked to people. And the more people I talked to, the more people got really on board with this. And they were like, yeah. And it was amazing how I felt like these people that I had never met, like really wanted the same thing that I did. And they helped me fund it. So I did not win the contest, but I got enough money to produce, I think there's 12 episodes out there. I promised 10 when I was fundraising, and I gave them 2 extra.
What a giver.
And I love what I do, and I'm very grateful to work and create, be honored and blessed to create what I do and use what I feel like are my gifts to help others. And I think that's a very big thing. So that's what Smiley Bridge TV was about. It's 10, you don't have to watch them in any order. There's 12 episodes. You can mix and match them. They're all available on my YouTube. So if you want to see them, they're there. They're the 3rd web series I think I've ever made. There was another one called Watch the Admin, and I don't remember what the 3rd one was.
What's the YouTube channel?
YouTube.com/SmileyBridge. I've gotten enough followers now that they let me do the little URL with
handle.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So Thank you
What's
all
the-
for watching.
What's the general plot? I mean, you mentioned it's clean and funny, but what's the general plot?
It's sketch comedy. So
Okay.
every episode is different. It was made a couple years ago, so there are some things that I feel that they're evergreen. Like some of them are like, there's one that I later entered into a film contest because it was a self-encapsulated short film that I think still holds up. But it's basically a lot of things that I made. I think this was, I want to say 2016 when I made this series of 12 episodes, and they're all standalone sketch comedy, like SNL type sketch comedy. So you can pick and choose what you want. And there's one that's just impressions. There's one that's just a bunch of different celebrities getting their high school diplomas, and that was fun. There's another one where we were out in San Diego shooting, and it was like me on a bicycle, and that was incredibly technically difficult to shoot, and I loved how it turned out. So I hope that you love that one as well.
I don't know about this sketchy comedy you speak of. It sounds a little sus
very
to
sketchy.
me.
It's super sketchy. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought up Smiley Bridge TV, because I was telling you guys before we started filming this that they asked me to on the meta stuff. They're like, "Oh, can you start creating more reels and things, and we'll pay you to test on these." And I was like, "Okay, great."
Cool.
So I am actually creating a couple new reels. Go to my Instagram.com. My handle is the Smiley Bridge there.
The Smiley Bridge.
Smiley Bridge. And you'll be seeing new content, and that's a promise because I'm getting paid for it. So I'm definitely going to have it there. So you wait, and I'm very excited about this. I can't tell you what it's about, but there is a puppet.
Oh, what's it about?
Chucky. Not Chucky.
No. I said it. Can't tell you. Yeah, you're good.
Right.
Oh, you're wily. You're wily.
That was close. It was sketchy, but that's sketchy comedy, folks. All right. Well, that's really cool. Everybody go check out all of Bridget's goodies, of which she has many.
Just writing down the Smiley Bridge.
The Smiley Bridge.
Smiley
Go.
Bridge, yep.
I will let you guys know when it's available there. But
please. All right. And now Muhammad's going to practice his Tai Chi. Because it's time for the terrible twos. And people are like, well, what's the
bottom line? Bottom line.
It's the bottom line, you see. This is like a line. It's the final two questions of the show, the two most important questions, besides all of the ones we asked Bridget, of course. And question number one goes a little something like this. In fact, it goes exactly like this. Muhammad, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Family Ties that came out in September 22nd, 1982, entitled Pilot?
Before the discussion, I was going to do low sevens, but actually, on reflecting on it more, actually, I've gone up a little bit. I think I'm going to go more like a 7.7.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nice.
Now, again, I may be biased because, again, I loved this show back when it was on. So again, it's like reuniting with friends. Like, oh, them. But I was still heartbroken about when Ellen broke up with Alex. Oh, that was terrible.
I'm sorry. I'm going to pour one out for you. Oh, so hard.
30 years or 40 years later, like, still hurts.
Aw, I love it.
I remember the music that was playing too. Like, oh.
Do you? Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, it's weird how music can take you back to someplace, right?
Sorry, I was muted. I wanted to say what was the music, Muhammad?
I don't know the name of the song, but it goes like, "What did you think I would do at this moment when you're standing before me with tears in your eyes?" That song, because that was their like song, and then that was playing when they broke up too. It was
like Todd Rundgren or something like that.
He sings it, yeah. But whenever I hear it, I'm like, no, it's the Alex broke up with.
Yeah.
Billy Vera and the Beaters. I'm not touching that one. You know the one. Side note: Growing Pains. There's one scene I remember in Growing Pains, and it was when Michael Seaver was looking through a window. I think there was like a pizza thing, like a guy throwing pizza or something, and he was sad about a woman too. And it played that song "Could Have Been So Beautiful," right?
Oh yeah.
By what
Tiffany,
is that, like Tiffany? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I feel you on that, where you could remember that moment encapsulated forever. Bridget's like, you guys are weirdos, but you understand.
You're both really, that's really sweet. And like, I definitely could feel you. Like, if you hear a song, like it brings you back to where you were when you first heard it, you know, or what impressed you when you first like had that, oh, this is that song forever, you know?
And speaking of forever, Bridget, scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode?
Well, okay. Here's the thing. All right. Again, I'm not going to pretend like the third part of this episode didn't happen, but the jokes also really did happen. And I really do think the acting and the comedy is the reason why this is one of those things that we could study in a TV class about a classic 3-camera comedy. So I definitely respect this one. I think that it's, you have to judge it for the time that it's in. And even though it is like totally unacceptable, I do think that you can't just pretend that those jokes and great acting didn't happen either. So I'm going to give this one an 8. And the reason that I have dipped it at all is, again, because of that was really hard to watch and racist against myself. So I can't do any higher than that because it was racist against myself.
That's
but
or
other people. I'm an ally as well. So I'd say 8. I think the acting and the writing and those were exceptional. And I think you gotta give your hat tip to Family Ties.
And agreed with you too. I mean, it had like a depiction of racists, but it was identifying them as problematic and as being racist. So I mean, that was the upside to it.
That is the upside, but the ultimate lesson didn't come down on that. So it was still problematic. It was still problematic. But I agree with you. Like it's just hard to watch this stuff after a certain period of time.
Agreed. That was what pulled me down too.
Yeah.
We need somebody to like pre-watch episodes and let us know. Better not. Well, you know, I was very surprised. I expected to not like this. I was expecting it to be some stupid early 80s crap. And I was right. I'm giving it a 2.2 today. Just kidding. But the theme song, even though I remembered the theme song, was even more beautiful when I heard it today because it has that late 70s, early 80s feel of like, you know, the Diana Ross, the Carpenters, you know, that there's like a sweet moment between like 78 and 83 that I really think has a nice sound. And this captured that. And I thought it was beautiful. I thought the show was surprisingly funny. The little brat was not a little brat. She was funny. I liked her. I expected to hate her. I liked her very much. I liked every character. I laughed way more than these other sitcoms I've been doing or other shows or anything like that. I appreciate the premise. I think the premise is brilliant and they executed it very well in the first half. I think that I can appreciate what they were trying to do with that and stuff with the fact of I really like the idea of the parents also learning from the son. However, not when the parent is right. So that's where there was the big miss for me. And it sounds like clearly for you guys as well. I don't think the attempt was wrong. I think that it didn't that moment should not have applied to that type of situation.
Yes.
But they were kind of set up to where they want to show that that's what the show will be about, but it didn't fit that moment or that
question. Yeah. Question to both of you. Do you think that if the conflict had actually been the one that the dad talked about, where like he is working at a conservative political party or whatever, that candidate's office to hit on some girl, like would that have been better for you as a conflict for you? Because I'm sure
it would have landed
decent.
It would have landed
conflict.
Much more easily. Yeah.
You know, that would have been a lot more understandable how it's like, oh, you believe this, I believe this, and it's okay. We can live in harmony. Whereas like, this is just like, definitely that they just picked the wrong way to do you can do this, you can do this, and we can live together.
I think it was all like, look, we can understand a 17-year-old boy following his hormones. Okay, get it. we can understand a dad losing his cool. We can understand all of these things. The main thing that didn't work was like was their intention. Their intention was to show that the dad can also learn from the son. And that probably works in subsequent episodes, but it didn't work this time.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm still giving it an 8.5 because I think that was the one.
Whoa!
I think that was the one big miss of the show, and the rest of it was shockingly good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I was surprised.
wow.
I know. That's why, Bridget, when you were saying you're going to hate this, I was like, give me your hate makes me stronger. I love that. Oh boy, I am gonna shock the world.
War Dog Crime in the chat's gonna be like, I was off by 5.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. My mind is blown right now. I feel like that has ruined the whole that's like the one blip that ruins your whole trend.
My mind was blown too. I was like, I'm laughing, and it's sweet. The song, I don't know.
That's part of what I like about it.
Don't get used to it.
Very sweet.
It is sweet.
But again, there's sad episodes to be ready.
So that was question number 1. And boy, did we dig. And I did the opposite of Muhammad. I wanted to go lower the more we talked, but I refused. I was like, nope, just stick with the 8. Otherwise, I was going to actually drop it like how you brought it up, Muhammad. I was going to drop it down to an 8, but I was like, nope.
Well, we kind of converged though. Still.
We kind of converged because 7.5, 8, 8.5. Like we all kind of, I for having guessed the wrong thing for both of you, like I ended up being the middle of our little thing. So
yeah,
good job.
Okay. So question number 2 is, for the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Family Ties. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Dr. Muhammad Noor, would you, of your own volition, watch the second?
I would. I mean, it's unlikely I will anytime soon, but I would. I'd be perfectly happy to do it.
Nice.
All right.
I mean, it's. I mean, part of what I love this time was the reunion. If I keep watching, it's going to be less of a reunion. At that point, it's like, okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
What about you, Bridget?
Yeah, I feel the same. Like I kind of want to give it another shot to see if like the next episode is less like harsh of the times, because I really did like big heart over Alex P. Keaton, Michael J. Fox. Like he's such a treasure, and I really am a huge fan of his. So it's like to get to see him in like prime, Michael J. Fox time is it's charming. Like I definitely enjoyed that. So yeah, I give it a shot. Pre Back to the Future. It's wild.
Wow.
It's wild.
Well, that's cool. I put in my notes, it's a barely yes, because I'm curious as to how it goes. Because it's a yes, I don't necessarily need to watch any more of this. I'm cool, whatever. But I'm curious to see how it goes, because if they continue to have this final scene miss, then it will make me go back and judge this first episode much more harshly, because I'll say, okay, well, that's just how the writers were or how they thought. Now, if their intention is executed well in subsequent episodes, then I'll feel okay with my 8 or 8.5 rating. But so that's why I'm curious. I'm like, let's see if their intention is executed well in further episodes, or if they continuously miss. And I think it's going to do better. That's my guess. So I would, out of curiosity, yes. Muhammad's like, you're right. It's a great show. It made me cry.
There's a lot of like deep themes in that. Like, there's a lot of ones where it's like, ooh, that was dark.
Man.
And there's a little kid that shows, like, they have a 4th baby.
Yeah, there's a boy who comes in later in like season 5 or something. I don't remember. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like either I've seen this or I'm imagining it, but I feel like I can picture Alex trying to groom and train that boy.
That's 100% it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
That fits. All right. Well, Bridget, this was tons of fun. Everybody at home, make your suggestions. And what I'm trying to say is this episode of Watch the First, this podcast, I should say, was a great time and very enlightening.
This podcast episode was a fun chance for me to finally get to meet Bridget. Yay!
This podcast episode was a fun chance to finally meet Muhammad in person. And also just a really chill, awesome time. I enjoyed it. I'll rate it 5 stars, but will you?
Out of 10 or 5?
Out of 5. How dare you?
God bless you. Well,
Will you ever watch the first, or if you watch the first and rate it?
Ooh, good question.
People have suggested this, and I'm scared. I think
Watch
Michael's even more scared about that than I am. I think I'm like, that sounds weird, but maybe. He's like, no. I'm like, yeah, but maybe we could be like self-serving. No, okay. Anyway, speaking of Michael, everybody, please remember what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Don't forget to be an organ donor, and don't forget to watch the first of things.
Freeze frame, like your favorite character in Family Ties. Oh shoot, I don't have a favorite character.
Yeah, I don't know.
That shitty smile and pretend that